Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. David Silverman. Welcome to our Wednesday night Zoom webinar regarding something extremely important. Just if you are watching this and you're seeing like a Brady Bunch thing with a bunch of people and you don't want to be distracted by everybody else, if you go to the upper right corner with your cursor, you'll see a little thing that says speaker view. You can change it to speaker view, and then you should just be seeing the person who's speaking. So it might, if that's more beneficial for you, fine, go ahead and do that. I am not going to be doing the presentation this evening. I'm going to stick around to answer questions. Let me just tell you what you're going to hear here tonight. And you can invite anybody you like to do this. We do this on Wednesdays, to come to this. On Wednesdays, we do this. We did it today at 1 p.m. Eastern as well. Again, my name is Dr. David Silverman. I live outside of Washington, D.C., right across the border in Maryland. My background is podiatry and foot surgery. I've sold my practice. I've sold my surgery center. I do one thing now, basically, well, two things: make people aware of an incredible breakthrough that is so important for humanity. People don't know this exists, what you're about to hear about, but with your help, hopefully they will. That's how you found out about it, through a friend. So I do two things. I make people aware of this breakthrough who I meet, and then I do my best to assist other people to educate the people they know. I'm on the medical board of this company. I don't work for the company. I started as a customer. The only reason I really looked at it is because the speaker tonight is a dear friend of mine, Debbie Wetzler. She brought this to me 8 years ago, and not knowing that my dad was sick. I mean, I'm 58 now. I was 50 then. I didn't really have any issues. I had aches and pains and things that I wasn't complaining about. But my sole driver to look at this was my father. And I shot a video called 6 Minutes, 6 Reasons.com. Just the number 6minutes6reasons.com, and you'll see there that reason number 2 was my reason for looking at this when Debbie brought it to me, for taking it seriously. I didn't dismiss it as sounding too good to be true. I trusted Debbie implicitly, but what she told me did sound too good to be true. But I was motivated because of my dad, and whatever your motivation to be here to learn about this is for you, we're just glad that you're here, because lives could really hang in the balance. And that may sound a bit of an over-exaggeration. I couldn't exaggerate this product if I tried. It's that much of a breakthrough. So maybe you're here because you saw what it did for wrinkles for you, and you're hearing stories about blood sugar issues and different things, and you're wondering, how can that be? Well, we're going to try to explain it tonight. Debbie is an incredible human being. Debbie, I've known her for 20 years. She is what's called a triple diamond in this business. She's a $1 million club. She's not a doctor, but she teaches doctors about this, because the beautiful thing about this product is, what we say is, you drink it, you wear it, it's a gel, and you share it. And she does a really nice job doing it, very, very simply. And so you don't have to be an expert in this. You just have to use the videos that are in place, the calls that are in place. There's another great one tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Keep that in your mind. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern, there's another great one taking place at a different Zoom number. We'll give it to you in just a little bit. But Debbie speaks all over the world on this, and she just does it. The one thing you're going to get from Debbie is you're going to get her heart. You're going to get that, yeah, this is a business, and it changed her life. The business changed her life. But we don't focus on making money. We just focus on making people aware of something that they are going to be made aware of anyway. It's just a matter of when. And they'll be using this product, mark my words. She's going to talk about how to get really, really fast results. And I'll just mention this because this is the fun part for me. If someone's skeptical or cynical, I don't care. As long as they're honest. If they have anything in their body that hurts them anywhere, I love to see their face 10 minutes after they put this on, the gel. As long as they're honest and they rate their discomfort on a scale of 1 to 10, and if their shoulder is frozen and that's as high as they can go, they take this gel that's made from salt and water. It's not salt and water anymore, but it's made from salt and water. They put it on there 3 times in 5 minutes. And at the 10th minute, ask them how high they can go, or their hands are stuck, or they have a knee problem or back. Just watch what happens. Watch what happens to 9 out of 10 people within minutes. It is such a cool way to open people's minds, because when Debbie brought this to me back in 2010, at the very end of 2010, we only had the drink version. And this could take 1 day to 90 days for someone to have their aha moment. This is the more important product, but this is such a quick belief builder. And for the people who are looking for an opportunity to no longer have to struggle financially or settle financially, or struggle or settle with not making a big enough difference in this world, or struggle or settle with not enough time freedom. That's what I was settling with and struggling with. I had no time freedom. I made a lot of money as a doctor and owning my own practice, but I had no time freedom. Coming to know that this is real quickly is so important, because once you know, you realize everybody you know is going to find out about this. Everybody. It's so self-evident. But because people look at Google as a research engine when it's really a search engine, they should go to Google Scholar to look this up. I'm sure Debbie will mention this. People dismiss this. So the ones that dismiss it now are the laggards. They're going to come along later. We're the pioneers. But please, when she goes through this presentation, keep this in mind. Okay, you do this for 90 days. Okay, baseline everything in your health, and then just track your progress and watch what happens. Sleeping issues, mental clarity, breathing, allergies, whatever. We can't make medical claims because it's not a drug. It's a supplement. But you can watch what happens to yourself with zero chance of it hurting you. Okay, there's no way this can hurt you in any way. But take the gel and go try it on 5 or 10 people who are hurting and watch what happens. So Debbie, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll stick around for questions at the end to answer questions with you. And one of the reasons why there's fewer people than we usually have probably 70, 80, is there's a training taking place tonight. The company's doing a training on the gel, actually, but that's being recorded. And you'll be able to pick that up at IamASEA.com. IamASEA.com. You can see the conference calls, and the recording from tonight's training on this will be there within probably 48 hours. So Debbie, dear friend, Triple Diamond, I'm turning it over to you.
Thanks, David. There's also a political debate going on. I'm sure everybody's glued to their televisions for that one, because it's only a year and a half before the true election is coming up.
Yeah, well, I stay out of politics, so they can have it. I'm not the most trusting person with politics.
No, I know. It's the first big political debate. I just can't believe it's this far out. But anyway, good evening, everyone. And I am coming to you tonight from Maryland. I live pretty close to David. He's been one of my best friends, and I see Sharona on also. She's been one of my best friends for many, many years. We've been on quite a journey together with many things in our lives. I went on a quest a long time ago for a health challenge that my dad had. He had come down with cancer, and I can say that it has nothing to do with ASEA. And he went through chemo and radiation. And this was my big, strong dad who he was my hero. And I saw what this did to him. And I thought there's got to be better ways to help people. And so I stepped down actually from being an interior designer at the time and owning my own business. And I went on a quest to look for things that could actually help people become well throughout their body. And it led me to this. So this has been part of my journey to look for things that could truly help people. And so I'm going to tell you my story right now, and you'll find out why I was so excited to share this with David. And I shared it with Sharona. She just didn't hear me to begin with, which is just to say that if somebody doesn't hear you to begin with, just be a little bit persistent, and because they will be hearing about this, because this has gotten huge. So I'm going to share my screen very quickly because I'm a visual learner, and I like to have a few pictures up, and I can go through this quickly. And what happened to my PowerPoint? It disappeared. Okay. Sorry, everyone. I had this all geared up, and so here we are. So we ask you tonight just to kind of keep your mind open and be curious, because what you're going to hear tonight is probably something, if you're new, that you've never heard about before, which is where we all started. And I don't think I've talked to anybody except 1 or 2 people now who have heard about this when I asked them about REDOX. And what David was saying is that, there are many reasons why people look at this. So whatever is your reason, please take the information that you are hearing that pertains to you, and then just leave the rest. Because some people will look at this because they have a health challenge themselves. Some people look at it because someone they love has a health challenge. as David mentioned, you might just want to look younger. That's nothing wrong with wanting to look younger. That's what I'm assuming everybody would like to look. You might want to take it to prevent things from happening in the future. That was one of my reasons. I was pretty healthy. I just wanted to stay that way. You might want to have more endurance during the day and be a better athlete, be able to work out better and have, be able to breathe better and work out better and recover better. That's something, even if you're not an Olympic athlete, you might want to do. You might want an additional stream of income because as you will hear, that was one of my main reasons for looking into this. Besides the fact that it was such a huge breakthrough. And you may be just tired of going to doctors and having them tell you it's this drug or surgery. And you might want another option other than that. I was very tired of, and so was my mother. My mother and I and my grandmother never took medicines. So that's just one of the things that we didn't want to do. We wanted to find better ways to help ourselves heal. So that's what you're about to learn about tonight. I was married for many, many years, 26 years. I had 2 beautiful children because of it. And, but I became a single mother at one point, and my daughter was still living with me, going to college. My son had graduated from college and was starting his own business. And I had stepped down, as I said, to look for different ways to help people. But I had been an interior designer, and I also stepped down to help a man with his children's website. During my quest, basically. And he went bankrupt in 2008, just as the economy just tanked. That's what caused him to go bankrupt. And I was left with absolutely no money coming in. It was one of the scariest times of my life. I couldn't go back to being an interior designer, even though I still owned that business, because no one wanted an interior designer there. They were all trying to save their homes. And so I looked and looked and looked and looked for months for something that I could bring money in. And as a result, I went through all of my life savings, just trying to keep a roof over my head and keep my daughter in college and let her not know about it and let my elderly mother not know the situation I was in. When I finally found a job as a server in a restaurant, I had to work double shifts, and they were long shifts. I had to work from 10 in the morning till midnight or 1 or 2 every day to make enough money to try to keep afloat. And even with working all those hours, I still didn't make quite enough to stay on top of my mortgage. So as I started getting behind and more behind and more behind, they finally sent me a letter of foreclosure. And again, that was one of my darkest days. My daughter had already been through a lot with a divorce and different things happening in her life. And now to tell her that we might be homeless just scared me to death for what she might do. And so when I got that letter of foreclosure, I just took it. I went upstairs. I got on my knees. I got down by my bed, and I put out the biggest prayer I could possibly put out, just asking God for something that I could help people with and that would turn me around financially. Well, I went to bed that night very upset, and before I could get out of bed, the phone was ringing. And it was a girlfriend of mine from Colorado who I didn't speak to very often, but we were very good friends, and I would hear from her occasionally. And she said, Deb, I have run into something that's quite extraordinary. It's a medical health scientific breakthrough. It has saved 3 of my best friends' lives, and I've decided to do this. And I thought you deserved to know about it. And I just kind of looked up and went, thank you. Because intuitively I knew that this was it. I went running down the stairs because she had sent me a video, and I watched this video over and over again. And when I heard what it was on the video, I thought, well, if it's that big, then it's got to be huge, I would think. But who could validate that for me? And I trusted my girlfriend completely, but it seems like every human being I know either wants to prove it to themselves. Again, I wasn't going to prove it to myself. I wanted to wrap my head around the science, and I was already pretty healthy. I didn't know if I would even feel much from it. But anyway, so I called a girlfriend of mine. She happened to be a molecular biologist who had graduated from Johns Hopkins. She had done research for years at the National Institutes of Health. And I asked her if I could come over and show her this information and have her explain it better. And she said, sure. So I drove to her house that night in Virginia. I put the information down in front of her. and she almost fell off her chair. She looked at me and she said, "Debbie, I've been studying these molecules for 17 years. We've had scientists from around the world come and try to do this here at the National Institutes of Health. Are you telling me that somebody was finally able to stabilize these molecules outside the human body in a bioactive form?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, yes." And she said, "You have no idea how massive this is. This will change the medical field as you know it." And I got chills all down my spine. And so she took a book right from herself and she said, "I normally have this at work. I brought it home this weekend to do some research." And she opened it and it was all about redox. And she went on to tell me that it regulated every major system in the body. So it interacted with every cell in your body. So the lymphatic system, the circulatory system, the nervous system, the endocrine system, you name it, it regulates it. And it keeps it into balance. And she told me that they were meant to protect your cells, every cell in your body. It didn't care what kind of a cell it was. It could be any of those system cells. It's meant to protect them. And because cells are always being damaged every single day because of the stress, toxins, everything we eat and put into our bodies, our cells get damaged. And so then they are meant to go and detect the damaged cells. And they'll send a very clear signal to the immune system. The immune system comes in and says, "Oh, I can repair it." So it repairs that cell. But sometimes cells become so badly damaged, like a cancer cell, that when the signal goes out to the immune system comes in and says, "I can't repair you. Kill yourself off." The body takes that dead cell away. And then once all the stress and inflammation is gone, that healthy cell replaces itself with another healthy cell. And in that way, your body is supposed to be healthy. If that was the case and our bodies were functioning at full maximum warp speed, we would never get sick, we would never get diseases, nothing would ever happen. We would be completely healthy. But because we get older, we start losing the mitochondria that produce these redox molecules that also produces our energy. So that's why we run out of energy as we get older. And our ability to heal at a rate of 1% every year we're alive past the age of 10, which is puberty for most people. And doctors don't know why that happens, but that's what starts happening. And that's why we age, and you can actually see the effects of the age, and of course, on the outside of people's bodies, because older people will have bags, sags, wrinkles, droopy skin, all that kind of stuff. The same thing goes on in the inside of your body. You just don't see it. So for the first time in the history of mankind, we can now replace the redox molecules that our body's not making, and our body can start to look younger because our skin cells are repairing themselves faster, and you can lose the wrinkles and the bags and the sags, and you start healing very quickly, like when you were younger. It doesn't take you back to 10, but you do feel much better. So the only analogy I can say for most people, because they get this when I talk about this, is that our body is the most complex communication network in the world. We have more things going on than AT&T or Verizon ever will. And so sometimes there's a fire in our bodies and the house is burning down, and you go to call the fire department and you don't have very many redox in your body. So the signals go out, but they're weak and there aren't as many of them. So the fire department is going, "Where's the address? Where do I go? Where do I go to put out the fire?" And the fire department can't hear that because your cell phone only has 1 or 2 bars. Now you reintroduce ASEA and redox signaling molecules, and that goes up to 5 bars again. When you call the fire department, they know exactly where to go, and they come and put the fire out. And that's what's going on in your body when you reintroduce these redox signaling molecules through drinking ASEA. And so that's what they do. They put out fires in your body. She went on to explain how massive this was to me. She told me at the time that there's over 1,200 books and and articles and journals that have been published on redox biochemistry since 1990, when they were first able to see these little tiny redox molecules. And we went to pubmed.gov, which is an international public library of health. And she looked up, at the time there was maybe 2,000 or 3,000 peer-reviewed studies. Now there's over 18,000 if you type in redox. There's over 70,000 if you type in just signaling molecules. So depending on how you put it into PubMed is what you get. And I can tell you that since that time, since she looked at it, we've had so many things that tell the world what redox is. So Dr. James Watson of Watson and Crick, who discovered the double helix of DNA and won a Nobel Prize for it, started working with redox molecules. And he was able to publish an article in the Lancet Medical Journal stating that type 2 diabetes, cancer, and brain disorders are the lack of redox signaling molecules. That's when doctors really started paying attention. The National Institutes of Health have granted 3 grants to open redox research centers, one being at the Medical University of South Carolina, one at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and one at Cornell. Harvard and Vanderbilt have both opened their own redox centers. So there's the one at Harvard, and that's what they're studying. Male reproduction and disease preventive agencies. That's what they're studying at Harvard right now. But they're studying different, there's so many indications for this. They can study so many different things that they'll be overwhelmed soon. And this is the one at Vanderbilt. There is now, right now, going on in Paris, France, a redox congress where doctors from around the world have flown in to learn what else redox molecules are doing for people's bodies. I know our own Dr. Gary Samuelson, who was able to stabilize these molecules outside the human body, is there, learning more about what is going on in this field. So at the time, our bottles looked like this when she ordered. She looked it up again and found it was 100% safe, non-toxic, native to the body. These are identical to what your body makes. So once they go in, they're very reactive and your body recognizes them immediately. And the body can send them to all the damaged cells in your body immediately. And they go in and like I said, start putting out fires. And since that time, they were working on a gel so that we could have a gel to put it on the outside of our body that would help us look younger. That was the initial, what they wanted to do with it. And 5 years later, because it took that long to find something that wouldn't react with these molecules very quickly, because anything they touch organic, they start to work on. And they found a very benign clay, and they were able to introduce and make our Renew 28. And so that's what we've been putting on our faces now to help our faces look younger and be younger, in our necks, and you can put it anywhere. And because there's so many toxins that we were using, so because we put the gel on and it was help our faces look younger, but then we put moisturizers on and cleansers, and a lot of the stuff out there in the market has so many chemicals in it that our redox molecules were trying to detoxify it from those. So they put a lot more study in, and 2 years later they came up with this whole skincare system with absolutely nothing toxic in it. It's one of the most finest, effective, gentlest cleansers you'll ever use. We put the Redox Renew 28 all over our face. There's a serum now that's very concentrated, even more than the Renew 28. So if you've got very deep wrinkles or a problem somewhere, you can target those areas with that serum. And then lastly, after everything's dry, we put this amazing moisturizer on. That's non-greasy. All of this is not scented. Men and women both use it if they want to look younger, and many people do. So that's our whole skincare system. And here are some of the photos that we did. They challenged us when we got the Renew 28 to take a before shot of ourselves and then use it for 28 days, which is the length of time that skin cells take to regenerate themselves. And do it 28 days later, take another photo. Well, here were some of the results of what happened when people took photos of themselves. So this lady lives in Sweden. Her name is Raydun Bond. And just, this was only 21 days for her. She used it on her neck, and in just 21 days, her neck looked completely different. And we know her. So we went running up to her and say, let me see your neck. This gentleman actually lives in Maryland with us, and he's a researcher. So he wanted to have the exact same cells and the same age cells. So he put it on only half of his face. And you can definitely see the difference in the depth of the wrinkles on this side of his face, around his mouth and his nose and his eyes. And this man had a horrible heel crack. They're very painful. They bleed a lot. And in just 1 week's time, that heel crack was completely healed. And this lady had puffy eyes and wrinkles around her lips again. And in 28 days, she looked much better. And the longer you use it, as you'll see in a minute, the better you look. Some people, this was from a disease. She had this horrible skin condition on her face. And it could have left her scarred for life. But in just 2 months, you couldn't even tell that she had it. Skin tag on this man's eyes. Those are damaged cells, and they get the message not to replicate and to dry up and fall off. That was the message they got. And then this lady had had this skin condition for over 10 years. This is one of the things I had. And in just 3 weeks' time for her, it was almost completely gone. This is an example of what using it over time can help you look like. Because this lady was drinking it, feeling really good on the product, but hadn't seen a difference in the way she looked. And her son almost fell off his chair. He says, Mom. And luckily he had taken a before shot. And he showed her the before shot, and he took the after shot when she came to him 7 weeks later. And here's was the difference already. But 2 years later, she looked like this, and 3 years later, she looked like this. The longer she's using it, the better she looks. One of my favorite pictures. So make sure that you take a before shot, because if you're looking at the same face every day as you do in the mirror, you don't see the little subtle differences every day as you're using this product. But what we were finding is, as we were rubbing this on, a lot of our discomfort in joints and muscles were going away. So in order to get enough product on, we said if you will rub 3 times in 5 minutes on any discomfort in any joint or muscle, 9 out of 10 times, the discomfort either goes to 0 or 1 or 2. And we've done this time after time after time. Every time we have a big event, we get all of our guests up who we don't know at all. We ask them to rate their discomfort. So say they have neck and it's an 8, and a back and it's a 10, and elbow and it's a 3. And then we have them rub it on 3 times in 5 minutes as they're standing up there while other testimonials are going on. And when we go back to them, because we've taken notes, 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 many times have either 0, 1, or 2 every single time. So this is a brilliant way to prove to yourself that the product works. Get a tube of the gel and go out and find 10 people with discomfort somewhere and do that experiment. You'll see it works instead of waiting for your testimonial, because some people's take a lot longer time. And in the meantime, some of your friends could be suffering while you're testing it on yourself. The product works, or we wouldn't be in 35 countries and we wouldn't have done as well as we've done, which I'll be talking about in just a second. The next thing I had to do was just make sure that this company was being run by somebody who knew how to run a business, because I had just gone through a bankruptcy with somebody else. I didn't want to go through that again. I literally had 20 minutes a day, and that was very precious time for me. And I wasn't going to throw my heart and soul into a company if it wasn't going to be around for very long. So I flew there, and I got to meet our 2 founders, Vertus and Tyler Norton, father and son. Vertus was an extraordinarily impressive man, and so was Tyler, but I'll start with Vertus. He had been vice president of strategy for Kraft Foods, Hobart. He had Dart and Kraft. He had taken companies and completely turned them around by knowing where to put time, money, and energy. And he knew how to run a business. And he was already planning and had a 5 and 10 year plan for this company. And he saw it always as $1 billion business. Tyler, his son, is identical to him. He was head of a financial company at the time. And they had the same vision. Although Tyler hadn't quite come around yet. He still thought his dad was a little bit crazy for doing salt water from Salt Lake. But he was there because he said, I'm not doing this with you, Dad, unless I can teach an ethos to and attract the right people to our company, because I haven't heard such good things about network marketing. So that's what he does for us every single time we get together. He's got some beautiful wisdom about how to be grateful and how to attract the right people. And the first thing he talked about at that time was that we were a P over E company. We put principle and purpose over ego and economics. That's the way they make their corporate decisions, even if they don't make it the same amount of money or if they lose money. And that's the type of people that they want to attract. The people that put people first and not material goods and economics. So it's a beautiful company, and that's some of the things I learned when I went there. Since then, I can tell you that we are 10 years old now. We're a very solid company. Here is our now world headquarters in Salt Lake City. Vertus has stepped down. He still comes to things. He was just at our advisory board meeting just this past week, and he still comes to our conventions. So he's got his finger in the pot still, but he's turned it over to men who are extraordinarily brilliant at running businesses, people who he's worked with before. We were profitable in the very first year. When I flew there, we were already making money, and it was in the 7th month that they started that. I found that extraordinary. We've had zero debt ever since. He opened a production facility right down from the world headquarters where they make all of our product and ship it all over the world to 18 different global distribution centers. If you go in that facility, you are convinced that this is a true breakthrough because of the pristine conditions that they make it in. It's FDA and GSF registered. Those are very strict standards, and make sure you get your product from that facility. And I can tell you that they've just hired a team of lawyers who are looking into the Amazon problem that we've got, because we have been finding that a lot of the product there is either fake product or has been tampered with. And we don't want that reflecting back on our product. So we've hired a team of lawyers now who will be shutting down that. They have already found that there is one person who's got about 63% of the sales on that, and they're going after them now. So I'm very happy. So don't buy it from Amazon. They'll be shut down soon. And they're doing it illegally anyway. We are now in 34 markets and growing. We've done over $700 million of revenue since the launch. We did $126 million last year, so that threw us into momentum, meaning more and more people are learning about this and jumping on board. They're beginning to realize what REDOX does for everybody in the world. We can make $800 million worth of product a year, and in just 2 weeks, we can roll in enough equipment to be able to be producing double that, or $1.6 billion worth. So he definitely knew how to run a company. We're post-risk, we're entering momentum. This is the perfect time, if this is something that you choose to do, to help people and to make an additional stream of income, because we are going to start growing at a rate of about 20% a month. And if you've been telling people about it, they'll know you're in business and they'll be wanting to join your team. And you will see lives change, and you will see miracles, and you will be so thankful that you have looked into this. Just so you'll know the markets, we're in all of North America, Canada, United States, Mexico, Colombia, South America, all over Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and we just expanded into 5 Asian countries: Thailand, Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Philippines. But at that time, when I went to the launch of the product, I was so excited. I kept hearing story after story. I heard things that made me cry, that brought tears to everybody's eyes there. I heard the scientists, I heard the doctors. And towards the end, Vertus got up and started telling the story of ASEA, how it got started. And it was that changed my life. And it was that made me want to come home and do this for the rest of my life. So while he was on stage, he started talking about a company before this was ASEA, and they had discovered through playing with salt and water for whatever reason that they had created redox molecules, but they didn't know that they had created that. And they were very unstable. They would turn back into salt water because that's what they were making it out of within just a few minutes. But the lab technicians who were drinking it before it turned back into salt water were having amazing health results. And so they started trying to figure out what it was by taking it down indications, meaning they are taking it down and seeing what it does to individual diseases. So they took it down 3 different diseases. It completely turned around all 3 of them, but they couldn't figure out what it was and how to stabilize it. And so they were way in debt at that point because that cost so much money, and they asked Virtus to come help them financially. And Virtus luckily got to try the molecules and started feeling so young again. He felt half his age. He felt like he was in his 30s. And he knew they had something, but he couldn't help them financially. He tried, but he couldn't. They had waited too long. And so when he stepped down, he watched the company, and they started selling off assets. And they were going to sell this formula off because they didn't know what to do with it. So he went in with a group of investors and bought it. And now he had to find an atomic medical physicist who he knew could figure out how to stabilize these. This man went to the library every single day and did research until he realized, to his amazement, that they had indeed created redox signaling molecules identical to what our body makes. And then within a year, he and his team of scientists were able to stabilize them. Well, now Virtus wanted to get it on a focus group to see what would happen. And he chose 40 people, friends, family, and church members, all with major health issues. And he just gave them the product and said, here, go drink this. I just want you to report back what's happening. And so in 2.5 months, he went back, and all 40 of them had turned around so completely in their health that they had now shipped it to friends and family, 135 more people in 20 countries. So Virtus had what he needed, and this was going to be always a business deal for him. So he called in a pharmaceutical company that he'd been talking to, and they came and they saw all these studies that he'd done, the white papers, everything, and they offered him a check so large it would have knocked anybody's socks off, and said, here's the check, and if you take the check, we shut you down, and all those people come off of it immediately today. And Virtus looked at them and said, I'm sorry? Some of these people are only alive because they're on this product. And they said, well, that's the cost of doing business. We lose people all the time. Let them go. At that moment, Virtus looked at us and said, it was at that moment that I realized this had become so much more for me. I couldn't look the 6 people who only had 2 weeks left to live in the eye and tell them they couldn't have the product anymore. And this had become a mission and a purpose. So I turned down the check and decided I had to start this company called ASEA now, so that the world could know about it, because the world does deserve to know about it. And he looked at us and kept talking and said, and now I need your help, because if you don't go home, and this was at the launch, so there weren't many people there, if you don't go home and tell your friends and family about this, then the world will still never hear about it. And it was at that moment that all of us stood up with tears in our eyes again and just said, of course, Virtus, we'll help you. If you can do what you just did to get this out, to help people, then we're right behind you. It changed my life forever. It gave me more purpose, and I was so excited flying home on the plane that that's when I started making my list of all the people I wanted to tell about. I'd already gotten it on my mother. She'd already had some major results. She had a lot of things wrong with her, and they didn't affect her for the rest of her life, all the things that she had. And that's when I thought of David, because I knew his heart and I wanted to make sure and tell him. And he was involved with something else completely, and it was a little scary for me to call him. It was a lot scary for me to call him. But I did, because this was so large and so huge, and I was so astounded by what I was hearing that I had to just tell everyone about it.
No, no, it's fine.
And so that's what I did. So If you can stay muted for just a few more minutes, I'll be done. He tried to figure out, and David, you might have to mute people because I can't. He tried to figure out the best way to bring this to the world, and he found that network marketing was probably the best, because if people like me have experiences with them, like with my mother, I was going to tell the world about it. And he didn't love it, and like I said, Tyler didn't either, but Tyler said, if we can create a community of like-minded people, all who had gratitude and put principle and purpose first, then we will start this company and I will help you. And Vertus agreed to that. So he decided to do network marketing because of it. And because of that, we are able to make an additional stream of income by helping people, because we are now their marketing arm. I am educating you about this. If you educate other people about this and they decide to try the product, they pay you for that, because
your wife
you're
is
the
not here
marketing.
today?
Whoever Shockley is, if you don't mind, there you go. You've muted yourself. Thank you. And we've grown every year since then, and we really took off this past year. We have lots and lots of science behind our products. And you can do that, as David mentioned. If you go, don't just Google it, because Google, anybody can write anything there. Go to scholar.google.com. There's about 800,000 articles on redox molecules there. The Huffington Post put out a big article a couple of years ago about the 5 emerging technologies in science that will change our lives in the coming years. We were number 4, and we were the only technology here with a product behind it. So they mentioned ASEA in this article. I just reposted it on my team Facebook page. If you want research about what this does for all the different systems of your body, go to the redox.com. A doctor who has done a lot of research and
Can I see the size?
is not associated with ASEA at all. And you can go there and you can look up anything that you might be having any kind of problem with and see what happens when you add redox molecules to your body. If you want our own studies and our own videos, you can go to amazingmolecules.com. You can see there the video that I first looked at when I was first doing this. And then you can see the studies and everything that we have. We've got people like Ann Louise Gettleman, who is the First Lady of Nutrition. She thinks this is the single greatest supplement she has ever seen in her life. And she's written over 30 books and has been on the New York Times bestseller. And she's rewriting every single book to include ASEA in it. She thinks it's that important. The Hippocrates Institute, it's controversial, I know that, but it's got a very high rate of helping people be cured of things by getting them to think different, have a different mindset, exercise, and eat better. And because of that, because it's alternative, it's a little controversial, but he got to do his own double-blind study, Dr. Brian Clemens, and he's told me personally now 2 times that he thinks this is the single greatest supplement that he has ever seen. He had remarkable results when he did his own study with it, and they sell it at Hippocrates. So these are all the different institutions who have done studies with them: blood flow studies, cell regeneration studies, 5 stars with all the facial products, and 90% of the women that tried it wanted to buy them. They've never had that happen. Metabolite studies showing we go into fatty acid metabolism, safety studies proving that this is 100% safe. Bioagilitics takes every batch of ASEA and tests it to make sure that there are redox molecules in every batch, trillions of them, and then they stamp the back of it. And in that way, you can take it to your doctor if you want. Say, these are redox molecules. The studies are at pubmed.gov if you need medical studies. And Tarot Labs did a genetic study. And they took 35 young, healthy men and women. They gave them ASEA Redox for 8 weeks, and they tested their before and after genes. And it lit up 5 genes in the body that do major things and affect hundreds of pathways. And those 5 genes were the immune system, the inflammatory response, cardiovascular health, healthy digestion and gut enzymes, and hormone modulation. And just to show you how just one of these genes affects hundreds of pathways, the hormone gene affects all these different pathways that are shown here. So you've got spinal cord and sudden infant death, insulin signaling, human thyroid stimulation, ovarian infertility, serotonin. You're always happy on this product. It releases serotonin. Circadian rhythm, so you sleep like a baby, and the NRF2 pathway, which is oxidative stress. This greatly lowers oxidative stress, which is a huge cause of disease in your body. It's like your body's rusting. And that's when we rebranded the bottle, and it's a beautiful blue bottle now. And the study is on the back of every bottle. So if anybody wants to know what this product does, just turn the bottle over and read it to them. It tells you all the 5 genes, and people understand what all of that means. They also came out because they wanted to be the complete cellular health company in the world with a source of food for your cells, because now we have the foundation. We had the builders who could build the foundation to your house and make it very strong, but we needed to build the materials. So they came out with food for the cells, the nutrients for the cells, in Source and LifeMax and Biome. LifeMax has got so many good things for you. Pomegranates that stay active, they're antioxidants loaded, and they stay active in your body for 24 hours. They've got French cantaloupe, which is packed with SOD, which is one of your master antioxidants that keep your cells younger. It's what Cindy Crawford puts in her skincare system. And that's why she still looks 25, and she's in her 50s. Biome, that helps your gut. It's got 3 prebiotics and 16 probiotics in it. That can really make a difference for people. And Source is just your main source of nutrition. So we have a unique company with ethos that is being taught on an ongoing basis, so that we know that we always put people ahead of any material goods or ahead of anything. We look at people as people, not as objects. We just make referrals. We find out if they're interested. Then we help educate people. And if they decide to try it, they get on the product. That creates residual income. I just went to Cancun for a week, as David said. My check still came in the mail, and I wasn't really working down there. I was working in a different way. So that's what you're paid on, and it creates a residual income, and it's very nice to have it. We just had one of our associates who was pinned she had a horrible car accident. She was pinned by a truck, and she's very much messed up right now. And because she created her income, her checks are still coming, and she doesn't have to worry about the money aspect of it. She's just getting well. That's all she's doing. And of course, ASEA is helping with her a great deal. So you never know what's going to happen. I was able to stay home with my mother much longer when she was towards the end because I had this residual income. If I'd had a regular job, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it's worth looking into because we have such an extraordinary product that does such extraordinary things for people. And we need people's help. Some people want to know what we actually do make, and we had to do a full disclosure statement this past year. So this is what people actually make in ASEA. And as you can see, it's enough, you don't have to get very far. This is one of the earliest steps that you get to. A monthly average of $300 could pay for a car payment. A director $700 could be a house payment. Oh, almost, I guess, depending on, the house. And when you get up into here, it's college payments for people. And of course, if you get up into here, that's the lifestyle of your dreams. And that takes more work. You're going to be talking to more people, and you'll have thousands of people in your organization when you get to that. But if that's what you choose, and if you'd like to have that impact on the world, it's a beautiful way to have an impact. So it kind of looks like this. You tell somebody who tells somebody, and it becomes a web. It's not a pyramid, it's a web. It goes out everywhere. People are always telling people about this because the product works, and it has to work on everybody. These are the healing molecules of your body. And so I didn't know people in Asia or Europe or Australia or New Zealand, but I'm in 32 countries. I didn't even realize that because people have been telling people who have been telling people. So you can create that yourself if you want by just continuing to talk and not being afraid of it, because we're all part of a team and we're all here to help you. And what you do is just get somebody on the phone with one of us and we help educate until you've learned it yourself. And then you help your people educate. The lifestyle rewards are wonderful because they treat you like queens and kings because they're so grateful to us for telling people about this. We have so much fun. ASEA has now become my family. Both of my parents have passed away, and ASEA really is my family. I can call almost anybody I know and be able to talk to them and go over things, and we make beautiful, beautiful memories because that's what Verda's told us to do with our money. If you make money, make memories with it. So I was just with my son today. We went on a cruise a couple of years ago over Thanksgiving. We had lots of memories. I've been with my ASEA family to many foreign, beautiful places. We've made many memories. We would love for you to be one of those and come with us, because our mission is to better people's lives and be a force for good in the world. And with your help, we can do that. So I'm going to stop sharing right now, and David and I will answer any question that anyone has. I think I've touched a little bit on almost everything. So if you have any questions, please let us know. We can go into more detail.
Great job, Debbie. Thank you.
Absolutely.
One thing I was going to share on the screen was just some resources that if people get their cameras ready or take a screenshot, it might be helpful. Get ready, because there's a lot of really good information here, and while we're going to answer questions, I want to make sure that people have this. Hold on a second. Let's see. Here it is. I'll make it bigger. Hold on. So here, take a screenshot of that. If you want to hear what doctors and scientists have to say about this, if that's your thing, if you're really interested in that, then this website here that I'm circling right here is great. And you put in the password associate with a capital A. If you're an animal person, go to this site right here, animalwebinar.com, same password. This is the big one here, guys. If you think of people you love that might have some issues, and you're wondering, well, can this really help? Just go to this website, redoxexperiences.com, put in the same password, associate with a capital A, and you'll get an idea of why we're so passionate about this and why we tell everybody. And some people listen and some don't, but we will not stop, because the people that say no now, and I've been doing this for 8 years, thanks to Debbie, people that said no for years, now they're coming on board because they're seeing that, number one, Wendy and I, we don't look like we're 58. Most people don't think that. And the way I feel and act, I don't take any medication at all for anything. They're coming because they're older than they were 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I don't push it on anybody, and Debbie doesn't push it. We bring the gift to people, and they either say, well, what do I have to lose to look at this? You know, it can't hurt in any way, and it can't hurt you in any way, for you or for someone you love. So those websites might be helpful. But if you have questions at all about any part of this, some people ask about the salt content, some people ask whatever, just unmute your line at the bottom left and ask away. While we're waiting, I'll mention that tomorrow night at 9 p.m., I told you earlier, there'll be another live presentation. You don't have to wait until next Wednesday. There are a lot of recorded ones. If you go to discoverasea.net, you'll see one from last week, a really good one, discoverasea.net, and it's live Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern at discoverasea.com. Okay, so the live one Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern is discoverasea.com. And also, we're having a live meeting here in Maryland outside of Washington, D.C. this Saturday from 1 to 5. I can give you, if someone's interested in how to register for that, it's free for guests. I can give you that. I'll be up in New York and Flushing on the 13th of July. I'll be in Las Vegas on the 20th. of July. And there's lots of meetings. There's a big, huge one happening in Dallas this week. This is happening all over the world. US, Canada, Europe, Asia, Australia. Debbie and I have been to all those places and speak at those places. But this is a phenomenon. This is taking hold, and your friend has given you a gift by bringing it to you now, whether it's the product, the business opportunity to change your life, or both. Cheryl, looks like you want to ask a question.
Actually, Terry does.
All right. Hey, Terry.
Thank you for taking us. Go ahead, baby.
It's about the blood, the change in the quality of the blood after taking ASEA. I remember Debbie saying something about that on an earlier webinar, and I wanted to try to understand the details.
I think you're talking about live cell microscopy, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
Well, there's many live blood cell biscopicus. I think Radium Bond with the neck, she was the first one to bring it to our attention. She's done thousands of tests on people. And she's probably signed up more people than still anybody in the company, personally, because she can show them their blood before and after taking ASEA. So they come in, she takes the blood, and the cells, I mean, I can show a picture, but the blood cells are kind of flattened and clumped together in most people because they're not healthy because of what you breathed, ate, drank, all that kind of stuff, stress. But then 30 minutes after taking ASEA, the blood cells are round and healthy and moving around where they should be. It's really incredible to see this, because I got to see hundreds of her files without the names, of course, but just to show me. And she says across the board, and it's pretty much about the same for everybody, within a few days. 2 weeks after taking ASEA on a consistent basis, it cleans out the microorganisms that shouldn't be there. After a month, it's the fungus that they clean out. After 3 months, it's the heavy metals. And after 6 months, it does a very deep cleaning. And she says to kind of keep a track of that, because a lot of people will come back during those times, at 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, and say, I don't know if this product's working. I'm really beginning to feel tired again. Well, that's because it's doing this very deep cleaning on your blood. And you do get more tired. Your body's telling you to rest during that time because it's really doing a deep cleaning. And so she can tell people that, luckily, and so can I, because sometimes they'll say, oh, I'm really tired. I'm like, has it been 2 weeks that you've been on the product, or a month? And they usually always go, yeah. So I go, well, it's cleaning your blood, and you're just not realizing it. So she sent me some pictures, and I have them. I'm happy to share them if I haven't. Have I not sent them?